I'm 41 years old and I have no friends and no social life. Some days I feel sad about this, and some days I have come to terms with this fact. But this video is not about bashing anyone. To be honest, I'm not completely selfish or narcissistic enough to think that it's always everybody else's fault. I know that I have a role as well to play in this. But let me go a bit deeper into why I think I have no friends. So I'm going to talk a bit about my childhood. I grew up in a broken family. My parents broke up when I was, I think, about 4 years old. And this was the beginning of, everything in terms of having detachment issues or attachment issues as well, for that matter. So what that meant for me was that I was juggled around like a ball, basically between my mom and my dad. And I moved around quite a lot. So I moved states 3 times. By the way, I'm from Nigeria, and Nigeria is a federation. So we have states. So I moved states 3 times. And the fact that in Nigeria we've got over 100 languages means that every time I moved state, I was moving to a place that had a completely different language, although everyone speaks English, but the language was different, the culture was different, the food was different, school, of course, was different. So I had to reorientate myself all over again. So I attended 2 nursery schools, 3 primary schools, 2 secondary schools, and 1 university, thank goodness. But each time I had to move, I had to say goodbye to my friends. So we're talking about a time before the internet, right? A time before mobile phones as we know it today, before Facebook and Instagram. So once you left, that was it, it was goodbye. And so I learned to be by myself, and I learned to be my own friend and be my own company. I was really lucky though, because then I discovered books. And so I was able to escape from the world, basically. But I think that also built a warped version of life in my head, because I was reading lots of, feel-good books, fiction, romance, the Mills and Boons. I don't know if you're of that generation. We had Mills and Boons. I believe it still exists today, but anyway, I digress. So this really affected me growing up. In terms of keeping in touch with friends, I didn't have any close friends. As soon as I was close enough to people, it was like time to move. Now, I don't completely blame my parents, because I know that they were going through, now I know, even then, I think I have always been a kind of intuitive person, I knew that they were going through physical, mental, financial issues. And so I didn't really blame them. Of course, I didn't understand what was going on back then. But let's fast forward to high school. So in high school, secondary school, we call it in Nigeria. In my final 3 years, I made very good friends. We were so close. We were tight. We used to go to each other's homes. I thought, finally, I belong, But then we went off to university. We had different lives, different directions. And we lost touch. So what that meant for me was that every time I would meet someone, okay, it's either of 2 things. So it's either I would guard myself against, letting them in, or I would completely open up and risk getting hurt, and it hurts. It really, really hurts when you have no one really that you can just talk to. It hurts deep, 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 deep. I'm a strong person. I was a strong child. I have a brother, but he's 5 years older than I am. So that means that, he's a boy, plus he's 5 years older than me. So we never really were that close. We had different interests. I was very bookish and he was more artistic. He is more artistic. He's still artistic. And I'm more of a bookworm. So we didn't have that much of a tight relationship. We love each other, but that tight relationship we didn't have. So let's move to my university days. So in my university days, I did make friends, but then they weren't like a major priority in my life. If I saw them, I saw them. If I didn't, I didn't really care, because by then I had grown to just love myself and just be by myself. And, I was always fine by myself. I still am fine by myself. But then when I started having relationships, romantic relationships, I would expect my boyfriend to be my friend, but it's not the same. However, when I met my boyfriend, who is now my husband now, things changed a lot. He became my everything, my best friend, my confidant, everything. And so I didn't feel the need to have other friends. But now that I'm in my 40s, I've started thinking about it a little bit deeper. I have problems keeping in touch with people. I have problems carrying a relationship, a friendship, beyond just, hey, hi, and just hang out and just have a chit chat here and there and just move on. I've tried. So my boyfriend and I, my husband now, and we moved to Malta from Nigeria because my boyfriend at the time was transferred here for work. And so we've been living in Malta for 10 years now. At the start, we met a group of friends, a group of people, and we hung out together. And I thought, yes, finally, people that I can invite home. I can go to their place, and ladies that I can really have a good chat with and stuff like that. But then slowly, members of the group started falling out with each other. And then finally it became my turn. Let's put it that way. But the thing that affected me the most was that I was very close to a certain lady. And we're talking about 6 years of friendship here. All of a sudden, she came to my wedding, she came to our wedding, and all of a sudden she just cut me off. And till this day, I don't know why. Is it something that I did? I've been toying with the idea of, sending her a message just to ask her, like, what did I do? What did I say? Because again, I can only see things from my point of view. I know that I am a blunt person. I don't say bad words. I don't insult people. I don't just go around criticizing people, but I don't hide away from the truth either. I say things as they are. I don't sugarcoat very much. So I don't know if I might have offended her in this way somehow, or if it was something else, but it really hurt me that I don't know why she cut me off. It's been 6 years. We were friends for 6 years, and then now the last 4 years it's just silence, complete silence. I don't know why. So another thing I'd like to talk about is having friends at work. So then I turned to my colleagues. I made some friends at work, and we used to hang out. We were a group of 3. And I thought, yeah, okay, let me see how this goes, But then one of them in particular, she has her own issues. I will give her that. But she did stuff that for me as a person, I wouldn't do to anyone else. So an example is I had surgery last year and I was in hospital. It was a very minor surgery. It was a minor surgery. I just had to stay overnight. But then I had to go back in because I had an infection. And that infection kept me in hospital for a week. And I was so weak, I couldn't walk more than 100 meters without getting tired. And she had promised to come see me because she had her own stuff as well, and she was going to the hospital almost regularly. But it wasn't like she wasn't sick per se. But yeah, anyway, that's a completely different story. So she came once and she was supposed to come see me. We had planned that she would come see me. But then I received a message and she was like, oh, I just don't feel, like it. So I left the hospital and I'm at the cafe and it's about 800 meters from here. Can you come meet me here? And I was like, but I can barely walk 200 meters, without getting tired. I can't. You were here. You were just like 50 meters away from me. You could have just either just called me and said, okay, come out of your ward, or you would just say hi, and I just couldn't understand why, because I know myself, I would have gone to see her. Another instance that happened was that she came to the supermarket. It's just a couple 50 meters away from my home. She told me she was going to be there, but she didn't tell me what time. So I didn't even know, like, okay, if she's going to be at the supermarket, I can go see her, or she can come to my place. Nothing. And the next day she'll say, oh, I was at the supermarket and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know if it's something that is wrong with me that makes people pull away from me, or if it's just people being people and just not caring that much. I've been burnt so many times by so-called friends, not just this one. Even back in Nigeria, I've been burned by a few friends. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, my husband is enough for me. My son is enough for me. I know that I can tell them anything, like I don't hide anything away from them. I can discuss anything with them. But now, as I'm getting older, I'm thinking a bit more about companionship in my old age. My husband is quite older than I am. And if I don't go before him, if he goes before me, I will be all alone. I can't expect my kids or my grandkids to, keep me company all the time, because they will have their own lives. They will have their own issues that they're going through in life. And I cannot impose that on them. And most especially my father. When I look at my father, my mom passed away around 7 years ago. No, I think 8 years ago. But before that, my parents had gotten back together. So my dad was left alone, and he refused to have any other companions. He wasn't working anymore. He wasn't really that close with most of his friends. Like, he would keep in touch with them on the phone, maybe visit them here and there, but that was it. He wasn't really that kind of a expressive person. He's not an expressive person. And so he stayed alone. And then during COVID, that's when things, got worse. He started showing signs of dementia. I had no idea, right? No idea. I didn't know anything about dementia, so I had nothing to judge, base his behavior against. There was a time that he called me and he was like, he was feeling so lonely because of the lockdown and feeling depressed, and he was thinking about why was he living. But I still didn't, catch the hint that much, because we're so far away. He's in Nigeria, I'm here in Malta. But anyway, he developed dementia, and it was tough for me to try to deal with it. But now he's kind of settled in. He's in a home. He's doing well. But that got me thinking, like, about having that support group, or friends that you can hang out with, maybe just go out and play games with or stuff like that. And I don't know how to make friends, so I think my childhood also affected my ability. I'm also an introvert, a friendly introvert, but I don't know how to make the first move. I don't know how to make friends, or like just I say bug people because that's how I feel. So, so like I would rather text than call. I would rather send a message than FaceTime or video, and which is one of the reasons why I really wanted to start a YouTube channel, because I wanted to overcome this barrier of communication. I wanted to see if I could do that, come out of my shell. So I don't know what I can do to keep friends. I mean, it's not like I need friends, but I just feel sad sometimes, especially when I think back at those people who hurt me, over the years. So I don't know. What do you think? Are you in a similar situation? Do you have friends, or do you have friends that you're falling out with, or do you have friends that perhaps you fell out of touch with because of distance or because of life, because life does take people away from us. Is that your situation? Please let me know. And if there are any suggestions that you might have for me, if you have any advice for me, I would really love to hear that. And if you found this video useful in any way, please subscribe, leave a comment, and like this video so that other people can find it as well. I hope that my story was something worth sharing. So until the next video, ciao ciao.